Hi, this video is to show resuming after an unplanned shutdown. So the other day, I on purpose turned off the machine when it was in the middle of a zone. Normally, you would want to at least finish the zone before you stop, but I wanted to show what happens when something causes you to shut down in the middle of a zone. So we're in partway through a row, and so I'm going to show what to do to get back sewing. I've already turned the machine on and I've set the safe area and I've gone to the mode that I had it saved in. So now I need to pull up the pattern. And it was in Quilts for Kids. Okay, there's Christmas. Open as a pantograph. Okay, so all of the figures that were entered at the time it was saved, they're coming back for me. So I'm ready to just go ahead and tap on Sew in Zones. And I could have touched Resume Zone Sewing Session. I could have done that, but so I'm going to say no because it's already saved. And I know that I'm in Zone 1. If not, then I would need to go over here in Zone Manager. Do I still want to open? Yes. If I needed to go to a different zone, this is how I would get there. Just arrow up and down. And whatever zone is selected at the time you say okay, that's the one it's going to be ready to stitch. So I'm going to say okay. And you know what? I need to make sure when I go in there, I need to make sure that everything is like I want it to be. And actually, I'm going to change that one. And now I'm going to say okay. Okay, so before I can start using repair pattern to fix that, I have to place my zone. And I need to place it as close as I can to where I originally placed it. And I don't have a spot marked, so it's really good if you do have a spot marked because it may or may not line up. So the best I can do right now is to say closest stitch. If this had been a case where the bobbin ran out, I would have used last stitch here in repair pattern, but last stitch won't help me at this point. I have to use closest stitch. So it's going to ask me if the needle is up. Well, it didn't ask me if the needle was up. Okay, so now I can see right there that it's off, and I'm going to need to nudge it. And so one thing I want to do is I want to do a fair amount of tracing back. I learned the hard way early on that if you just do a little bit, you can think, oh, I've got it lined up. And I didn't. So I learned that the hard way. You need to trace back enough to know. Trace on back into your pattern so that you know that you have it lined up before you start. So that's what we're fixing to do. So take your time here, and because we want it exact. So I'm going to trace back. And let's see, that's a little off, so I'm going to hit stop. I think it needs to be a little nudged this way. And then a really neat feature on the QCT5 Pro, which that's what this is, the 21 Pro, it has what's called a needle jog right there. And that means I can jog the needle down a little bit so that it's not touching the fabric, but it's close. So now you can see Doug's getting real close there, exactly where the needle's going to go down at. So that's serves the same purpose as the machines that have the little red light that points down. So now I'm going to trace forward, and I'm going to really be watching it. And when you're doing this, you don't want to lean on your front rail. So I'm going to say trace back. No, I'm going to say trace forward. So I'm saying trace forward. Yeah. So I'm real off now. So, and so you'll have to use these nudge keys probably a fair amount. But do take your time. We're going to do trace forward again. I'm going to hit stop. Yep, I thought I hit stop. I'm going to trace back. When you hit stop, there's a bit of a delay before it really stops. But you can see that this isn't as typically, it's not a super fast process. Okay, I'm getting a lot closer now. But you just have to keep playing with it, letting it go on forward and on back. I'm really close. I'm really close. I'm going to do another trace back. And trace forward. So I think I've got it. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to let it trace on around that little thing in the, it's a hat. I'm going to let it go around that little hat band. And if it's pretty close around the hat band, then I'm going to go with it. So that's looking very close. I'm going to trace it forward now. Okay, and at this point, I want to get it right back to where I need to pull bobbin. So at this point, I'm just doing the -1 stitch. I did a little bit of a sloppy job because I was in a hurry. Normally, when you're doing a repair pattern, you want to pull up enough of the bobbin thread that you can tie a knot in it and take one of the needles that has the end that you can pop the threads into, a self-threading needle, and run them through the layers. And when you do that, as you pull your top thread, it lifts up bobbin thread that you can grab, and then you just keep pulling out enough until you have enough. And then you want to be selective with exactly where you're going to resume. Like if it was the star, you would never want to resume at the tip of a star. Try and be where you have a bit of a straightaway, shall we say. So now at this point, I'm ready to pull the bobbin. Take that single stitch and pull it up. And I'm going to pull out enough that I have enough of that to tie a knot, because I'm going to, after it gets going, then I can tie a knot and use that self-threading needle again to run those ends through the layer so that you'll never see it. And now I'm ready to hit sew. So, so that's what you do when you need to resume stitching after a unplanned shutdown. So I hope you found this video helpful.